Hello and welcome to another recorded review. This was a community bought game, so it was funded by 3 amazing community members, and I feel blessed given the opportunity to actually review even more games. So thank you so much for all the contributors towards this review. Pneumata is a horror survivor first person, very inspired from the Ethan Winter Resident Evil games. So if you've already played Resident Evil Village and like I said, the Ethan Winter game, you know exactly what sort of mechanics we're talking about. Is it worth your money? Is it worth your playthrough? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. I'll try to keep it short and sweet because short and sweet seems to work a little bit better than me flapping my mouth hole. So we're going to review the game in the exact same way that we always do. Go through the exact same template, but just a little bit on the faster side. just a little bit. And I actually forgot to open up my review template. Right, there we go. So the very first thing that we look at is, and I absolutely love the fact that we're doing this, is the audio. The very first thing that the choice of music used and the audio within the game. And I can happily say that it is one of the worst things about this game. It really is. The audio in this game is utter garbage. It is completely broken. You cannot even alter the audio very well in the audio settings, because I tried. I spent a good while during the stream turning stuff down, and nope. If they want to blow your eardrums out with massive loud audio aspects in this game, they will, and it's fucking annoying. This game is so unpolished when it comes to the audio within the game. It ruins so much of the game. A lot of the jump scares that actually are done in the game, they're done pretty well, but because of how broken the audio is, it's mainly the audio that ramps up to 100 that startles you more than anything else. And we got to a point where the audio voicing was so low in the settings, and yet during certain scenes that it would peak right into the red whenever certain things were happening. I had to take my headset off because it actually hurt my ears. It was that fucking loud. So I've never really had to do this before, but the biggest amount of deductions coming off of this review is purely around the audio aspects. The gunshots are muted sometimes, so you shoot your guns and you don't hear anything coming from them. The monsters sound like they're in your brain, and yet they're half a fucking mile away, which makes no sense whatsoever. And if they're gonna try and turn it and say, oh well, that's the immersion, and that's bullshit. That's broken audio. The game would have many audio glitches throughout our playthrough. Even today's stream, the very last stream that we done this on, we had an audio bug of a door opening over and over again, and it wouldn't stop. So this sucks, because you want, in any horror game, you want the audio to be really good. And I was just massively disappointed throughout the entire journey of this game. And like I said, because of that aspect itself, it's going to lose a lot of points in this review. The next, we look at the graphics used in the game. And for a brand new horror game, I can't really complain too much about the graphics. We don't knock points off on how it looks. We knock points off whether or not the engine does a good job. And we did have a lot of enemies that were stuttering when they were running towards us. I don't know if that's poor AI and poor modeling on the enemy side of things, but we didn't really have any dropped frames. We didn't have any screen tearing or anything like that whatsoever. So I can't talk about that aspect. It does run at 4K Ultra HD, but we don't enable that in the game itself because we play at 1440. because I can't push out 4K because, you know, I need a much bigger bitrate. Twitch won't allow that, so we got to do what we got to do. But it looked visually good enough, and I was okay with it. I was okay with the gore factor in the game. I was okay with the lighting effects and the atmosphere. The atmosphere is done so incredibly well with this game that it frustrates me that that is one of its biggest positives. It definitely gives you the atmosphere, and it definitely makes you feel scared at times throughout the game itself, but then it could end up being ruined by the stupid audio that's completely broken throughout the game itself. Or even the gun audio effects when you're shooting a horde of monsters that are chasing your ass down. But yeah, I thought the graphics were okay. It looked good. The atmosphere was great. Like I said, that's its best point right there, the atmosphere. And I don't know what the obsession is with gigantic balls of dust particles. I think it's the fucking worst I've seen in any game so far. We actually made a note of it when we were playing through the Village and the Ethan Winter games of the Resident Evil side, because they would do dust particles that were gigantic white lumps flying all over the place, and in this game they look like fucking ghost orbs floating all over the place. It looked really, really, really bad, and it's just like, you guys have never seen dust before, have you? Because that's not what dust looks like at all. Character design, model design, you don't really get to see your character. In terms of the monster design, there isn't a big variety of monsters in this game. Even the bosses, there isn't a really, you know, there's not a big variety. But they're modeled okay. You know, I've seen better. I've seen better in Dead Space games, and they are super old. So I'm kind of disappointed on the model design aspect. A lot of the enemies that you fight are all wearing suits as well, so you know they can be lazy in that way, because all they got to do is cover the suit with blood. But when you actually see their faces, their bone structures and their limbs and all that coming at you, it's okay. It doesn't blow me away. The story aspect, was painful. It was very painful. I'm gonna be completely honest, and it may even just cripple this review, but I have no idea what was going on in the game. Even now that we've completed the game, I have no idea what was going on. I was completely confused throughout the entire playthrough, and this is the third stream that we've done on this game. So we did play it from start to finish. I did gather that the lead character went through some sort of traumatic event, because it showcases that at the very beginning, but it doesn't do a good job of that whatsoever. There's no real introduction to this character at all. It puts you straight into the game very, very, very quickly. There's no, you know, opening cutscene that would have been absolutely welcomed by introducing you to the story plot, introducing you to the characters. There's none of that. And you go through, this character has obviously been through a lot. I'm trying very hard not to spoil the game for you, and is out on a mission to kind of investigate what's been going on and what's going on, and again, trying not to spoil anything. But the story plot is just blah, and it didn't keep me invested at all. It didn't keep me entertained at all, and it was breadcrumb feeding me the entire way through in its own pace, and I have no idea what was going on in the game. I played Dead Space once, I understood the story. Played Resident Evil once, understood the story. I've played this once, and I would not want to touch the game ever again, because I just don't get it. I really, really don't get it, and it's not because the game, it is the game. It's the game's fault. The game just didn't do enough to fulfill the desire in me to want to know and to want to research more. I can't be bothered to even open up Google and just to Google the story plot. I can't be bothered, because the game just didn't do a good enough job to do that for me. I am not that interested in doing it myself. I really wanted to be invested because it's got a lot of aspects that I look into in games like this, you know, horror, monsters, shooters, Resident Evil style inventory and stuff like that. I was definitely invested, but your story's shit. You've got a good idea because I picked up on some of it, but you just didn't play it well. And I feel that like the second biggest weakness in this game is the story writing. In terms of online features and stability, we can't talk about any of that because this game is an offline single player horror experience. Even though they class it on Xbox as action adventure, they really do need to have a horror category so they can start marking games as horror. But as I said, it does utilize a lot of what we've already seen. The shooting mechanics, the inventory mechanics, all of that. We have seen that done before and done better in other games. So what needed to separate this game from others is the story. And that is where its weakness is. Plus the terrible fucking audio. And I really can't stress this enough of how bad it is, but it is. It's absolutely awful. We can't talk about that because it's not got any of that. What I've written down, it's not a big game. Surprisingly, even though the game was 3 streams long, and we definitely did put a lot of time into it. Some of the puzzles weren't that difficult because they left the answers right beside the puzzle. And we found that with like one of the save combinations, we fluked the save combination. Don't ask me how, but we fluked it. We managed to get that one open. In terms of depth of puzzles, I don't think that they were really focusing very heavily on that. But I did like doing some of the puzzles within the game itself. So it's a 15 gig game. It's not that big whatsoever. It's currently priced at the moment for the digital version is £30, which is quite a bit of money, to be fair. It's not on the higher end, the 40s or the 50s, but it's still up there a little bit. Single player 4K Ultra HD. The options the very first thing I do when I boot up any new game, I go straight into the options. I look at what's available, and the options on this game are just piss poor. They are super basic. They don't go in depth with anything whatsoever. But like I said, I was able to go straight into the audio and turn parts of the game down. Once we got into the game and saw it was peaking all the time, we had to address that immediately. We got our character soft locked under a staircase. The game allowed me to go past the chair and underneath the staircase to see if there were any items, any lootables. There wasn't, and when I tried to leave the staircase, I got stuck between the wall and a chair. And I tried for about 5 minutes to try and wiggle past this chair, but this chair was the alpha boss in the game, and it just wouldn't let me past at all. So we had to completely reload that level again and start right from the very beginning. That in itself put me in a foul mood, because that's just not tested. You know, if you don't think for a second that players won't do stupid shit and go into stupid places, you're wrong. This is what we usually end up doing. We like to run off track. We like to go to the left when we're told to go to the right. We like to explore. We like to look around for loot. And if we can crawl under spaces to look for stuff, we're going to do it. And I did it, and I got stuck. And then I had to reload your game just to get me out of it. So that really kind of tickled me the wrong way. The autosave feature did save over our manual saves, so be very careful to separate your autosaves and your saves if you're playing through this game, just so you don't lose your progress. I made sure that there was a gap between the autosave and the manual save. There is a terrible, and I mean really terrible plot point in the game. And I don't know whether I should say this because it will be a spoiler, but you get to a point in one of the buildings that I'm just going to fucking say it. You get to a point in the building where the player is supposed to fall down a hole and lose his weaponry after falling down, leaving him in a pit of monsters to fight his way out and to try to escape. And the reason he lost his weapons on the way down is because he put them down, which is one of the worst story writing reasons I've ever seen in any game. You actually see him place the shotgun down, look down the hole, and drop the handgun, and then fall down the hole. And I was completely and utterly blown away by how fucking dumb that was. It was so stupid. And it angered me because it could have been done in such a better way. Again, it just falls down to the fact that it was so poorly written in this game. The fact that there is no map is also a massive negative in my mind, because there are a lot of people out there that struggle with remembering which pathways that they've taken, which routes that they have taken. And in a horror game like this, a map is not only helpful, but it also aids in the right method, especially when it's done well. Resident Evil's map system, for example, especially in their newer games, is done incredibly well. It tells you where you've been, it tells you if there's any loot remaining within that area, and it really aids the player. In this game, they don't give a fuck about any form of guidance or any form of map system whatsoever, and when you get lost, you get lost. There are many areas that you go through that are very maze-like, and it's very, very difficult to remember which turn you took, which exit you came through, to figure out how to get yourself from A to B. There is a lot of backtracking as well that you can do in this game, which I'm all for if backtracking is done well. But in this game, no. no, it's not. It's done quite poorly, and they really. Thanks, Rebel. Look, put a fucking map in the game, and do a really good map system as well, to really help the player know if they've walked past something by mistake or if they're not picked something up, because a map system is always very, very, very helpful. That's just my honest to God opinion. That's everything that I've got written down. So what it boils down to right now is, would I recommend this? And what would I grade it out of 10? If you want my honest to God opinion, I would avoid the game. I feel that there are many other games out there that do a better job at what they try to do. And I hate saying this, but if you wanted to play a game that's like this, that's better in so many ways, I would start probably playing through the Ethan Winter Resident Evil games, even though I don't consider them Resident Evil. You could start off with the very first one, and then work your way through. They do a better job. They have a better story arc. They have great action, great bosses, a good item system, and overall they are much better games. And you could actually probably get them cheaper too, which is another positive. And they come with a map, and they don't have audio problems. So I would, honest to God, hand on heart, I would say Pneumata, just skip it. If you're only in it for the achievements, then bless your heart, good luck. We ended up with, I think it was 20 something, let me have a look. 25 over 32 of the achievements. So we did a lot of the achievements, and we got quite lucky with a few of them, to be fair. But yeah, I would say Pneumata, even at $29.99, no, I'm sorry, no. That 30 quid you could put towards buying better versions of the better games of this kind and actually enjoying them more. So what would I rate it out of 10? With a terribly written story, with the bugs that we encountered, with the audio issues that we encountered, it massively knocks the scoring down on this game. With no map system as well, it even impacts it even more. So in all honesty, it's a below average game, which puts it at a 5 already and going downwards. And with the amount of issues that we were having, I'm knocking more points off. And I honest to God, I wouldn't score this anything more than a 3. So Pneumata, if I'm hopefully hoping that I'm pronouncing the game right. Pneumata scores, in my opinion, a 3 out of 10. I would avoid it, in my opinion, and save your money or put your money towards better variety versions of games like this. But if you're playing this right now, or if you've already played it, let me know in the YouTube comments down below. Flood them. I always respond. And thank you so much for taking your time to watch this review. I really appreciate you all. I really do. Even the contributors towards this review as well. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye.